to responsible business practices with us today. So why is it that these businesses so quickly came to mind for me and these individuals who are in leadership of the businesses? Each of our panelists are past recipients of the New Mexico Ethics in Business Award. For those of you that maybe aren't familiar with it, I suspect most of you are, but it's a program that has been in place for 20 years here in this community, and it provides a process whereby the community can nominate for-profit businesses, nonprofits, and individuals to be recognized for their very ethical business practices. So again, this has been going on for 20 years. One of the things that distinguishes this award is that in part of the vetting process, students from the Anderson School of Management, as a part of their business and society classes, have had the opportunity to vet the candidates for these awards. So in this way, students have, as a part of the core curriculum here at the Anderson School, been looking at what does it look like, responsible businesses for purposes of these very prestigious awards. So in any case, even though the vetting process for the students is not nearly as rigorous as what we're learning about today in the B Corp certification process, they are very definitely looking at businesses for the practices that they have that look at relationships and behaviors toward key stakeholder groups, customers, employees, the communities within which these businesses serve, and the natural environment, of course. So it's nice kind of that we're coming full circle a bit and having these very businesses that have been engaged in this conversation with students before are back here today talking about those things with those of us. Our panelists today, and they may share a little bit about themselves as they talk about their businesses and what responsible businesses look like in their organizations. We have Emily Allen with Decker, Parrish, and Sabatini. This firm was a recipient of the New Mexico Ethics in Business Award in 2016. Jackie Baca of Bueno Foods, and this is really special because Bueno Foods was an inaugural recipient of the New Mexico Ethics in Business Award in the year 2000. So it was 20 years ago in 1999 that students in business and society classes right here at the Anderson School were having a conversation with Jackie and all of her stakeholders, her leadership team, on what it means to be a responsible, ethical business. And then last but not least, Mark Herman, who is CEO of Dion's here in Albuquerque. They were the recipient in 2015. And I think he has a lot of things to share about, you know, the things that they're doing with students all the time, providing them businesses. So we'll be moving on. We will be taking 5 minutes from each panelist for them to give kind of their perspective, but then we want to dedicate the bulk of the session to you. Students that may have questions about, you know, working for responsible businesses, but since all of us are lifelong learners, we're all students, and so we're going to be encouraging questions from all the students in the room of drilling down in some of the things that they have to say. So just before I turn things over to Jackie, who will lead off, why is it that we care, and why is it that students may care? This slide gives you some data dated this year that most millennials would take a pay cut to work at an environmentally responsible company. And of course, we're looking at an aperture that's wider than just the natural environment, sustainability in that larger sense, all those different important stakeholder groups. Nearly 40% of millennials have chosen a job because of company sustainability. Less than a quarter of the Gen X respondents, which were the generation just before that, said that, and the generation before that, baby boomers, only 17% had that to say. So let me go ahead and turn things over to Jackie Baca, president of Bueno Foods, and I'm going to trade off here.
Thank you, Sarah, and it's so great to be here. I'm a graduate from Anderson, so every opportunity I get to come back, I take it. So thank you for putting on this symposium. I think it's very important work that you're doing. My introductory remarks will present to you a snippet about what we do as a company, and although they're not comprehensive by any means, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we do. And So let me start with a little description about our company. Bueno Foods is a family-owned company. We've been in business 68 years. It was started by my father and my two uncles. And they founded the business with a compelling vision to be more than a food company. Their vision was to be an innovative company, sharing their culinary heritage, but also to serve the needs of the community with jobs first and foremost, economic development, and giving back to the community. Their vision would give them the resilience to persevere through good and bad times, and there were many. Years later, I'm happy to say that that vision is alive and well under the second generation management. I manage the company with my siblings. And again, this vision has helped us persevere throughout the years. So as all good MBA students do, you start writing a strategic plan, and part of that strategic plan was writing a vision statement. And so we did that 35 years ago, and I led that effort. And we wanted to articulate what this vision was that we had grown up all our lives with. So we wrote that the purpose of our company is to have a positive influence on people's lives through our products and our organization. And our mission is to share our culinary heritage with the world. Our values are do right by people, learn, improve, and strive for excellence, honor our heritage, and contribute to a better future. I want to talk a little bit about jobs. Jobs in post-World War II were difficult to find. So the Baca brothers decided to create jobs for themselves and others in the community by starting their own business. They were very entrepreneurial. Today we provide 330 full-time jobs year-round, and job creation has increased as the company continues to grow. Bueno Foods management staff is diverse with representation from different cultures, age groups, and gender. We offer training and promotional opportunities for the workforce. And we have countless examples throughout the company of internal promotion based on merit. 2 of our managers and many of our supervisors started with the company as seasonal level employees and have advanced to management roles. We're in the middle of our green chili processing season. Yesterday I was walking in the halls, I ran into Rosa Garcia, who tells me, we're almost done, another season behind us. And I said, how many? She says, 41. So she's been with the company for 42 years. When we expanded the plant facility in '83, we made the conscious decision to stay in the Barelas community in the South Valley to bring jobs to the community, which is an economically depressed part of the city, and of course where the Baca family has its roots. Our mission statement is we share New Mexico's rich culinary heritage with the world. Since the beginning, my father and uncles valued our New Mexican cuisine. It was an inspiration for the business. They were siblings of 13. My grandmother was a great cook, as you might imagine. She was very innovative, having 13 children, and hard work. So we started as a neighborhood grocery store, and we featured takeout New Mexican products based on Grandma's recipes. Freezers were becoming popular in the 50s. Bird's eye vegetable were the rage. So the Baca brothers determined they would reinvent the business from a grocery store by roasting, freezing, and packaging our iconic New Mexican crop so consumers could enjoy chili all year round. And we've also featured products based on family recipes. And this was the birth of our business, in which we stay true to today with authentic recipes, still supporting New Mexico agriculture and the chili industry. Giving back to the community has always been important. We grew up in a household that helping the less fortunate and giving back was a basic value. I have many memories as a youngster of volunteer activities that my parents partook in. Our first concern, though, is providing jobs. Our second is volunteering in our community and supporting organizations that serve the most vulnerable in our community, including impoverished children, women, homeless, hungry. And 2, education is a big focus. Whether it's our rewards for good grades for the program for the children of our employees to encourage education, funding a C&M endowment specifically for scholarships for our employees and their children, giving books at Christmas to elementary school, scholarships for high school seniors, paid internships for college students, and other various programs. We remain dedicated to giving back to our community. Finally, environmental stewardship is important to us. We buy local as much as possible in order to support the local economy. We have long-standing relationships with farmers, generations, in our state, and we've been involved in leading the effort to foster the use of New Mexican grown chili by processors, restaurants, and retailers. We realize that water conservation in an arid climate is necessary to the long-term sustainability of our community, and we have an aggressive program to address that. In 2017, we received an award of excellence from the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Authority for outstanding efforts in pollution prevention through waste minimization and effective pretreatment. That was really important to us and quite significant. We want to be a socially responsible company. Every decision we make, we ask, are we doing right by people? And I think that the values and the vision that we grew up are alive and well. And although we are not perfect, it's a human organization, we work every day to try to be responsible to all of our stakeholders. And it's a balancing act because we are a human organization. But by the end of the day, if you feel you've tried your best, you take responsibility when you haven't been your best, that's what matters. Being socially responsible is definitely a journey and one that I am proud to say that our company embraces. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. We'll look forward to visiting with you and some questions a little bit later. Next up is Emily Allen, principal with Decker Parrish Sabatini. I'm going to get this slide going here. There we are.
So I was born and raised here in New Mexico. I left saying I'd never come back to this small town, and I realized how amazing it is here and what amazing people we have, what an amazing culture we have, and what an amazing landscape we have. And so I came right back. I grew up with Decker Parrish Sabatini, and I'm now a principal in charge of our interior design department, leading our firm. And something happened a couple years ago that kind of solidified a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Someone came up to me and they said, you know, I think it's really weird that you're focused on people and you're focused on doing good and sustainability, but you also look at numbers and you look at profit. And that just doesn't align for me. And what I realized in that moment, which I'd never formally thought about before, is that what that means is that profit and business-centered practice for the benefit of employees, for the benefit of our community, is all in line, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. And so deep in our roots is that practice. Sound business practice means sustainability for our people, means the ability to give back to our community, and means that we can really support initiatives that are important to the culture of our firm. So, a little bit of background. Decker Parrish Sabatini is 60 years old, celebrating this year, which is really exciting. We practice design in architecture, interior design, landscape architecture, planning, and structural engineering. So we've got a full gamut of folks in our office, everything from the very nerdy technical folks who help our buildings stand up, all the way to the very creative type. We have 201 employees. That's across 4 different offices. So we are here in Albuquerque primarily, but we also have offices in Las Cruces, New Mexico, Amarillo, Texas, and in Phoenix, Arizona. And as we look at the commitment to our people, I think that's something that has been foundational for us all along the way. We are really focused on wellness, strong benefits packages, all the things that are important to people. We have yoga on the deck outside, which is really glorious, especially this time of year. It's a little less glorious when it's 110 outside, but So we really focus on wellness. We have wellness programs for our employees. We also support our employees through flexible work time and adaptations for family. And we make sure that people are able to do their best work. So people coming to work at DPS, giving contributions to our community and making great projects is really, really important to us. The other thing that we carry around is that we have, as an industry, a huge environmental footprint. So 74% of electricity consumed in the United States is consumed by buildings. 44% of the entire energy consumption happens in the built environment, and that's a really heavy load to carry. So we feel very, very strongly about our commitment to reduce that impact, our commitment to practice with our clients and in conjunction with our clients and their goals to really make sure that we're doing everything we can to take that down. So a couple of things that we do in that regard. We signed on to the 2030, the AIA 2030 commitment. What that means is that we are diligently monitoring the energy consumption and impact of our buildings. We have, to date, since 2016, signing on in 2016, have monitored 3.2 million square feet across our projects and have seen a 46% environmental impact reduction. That's a huge deal, and we are continuing to strive for greater goals around that. But we have an incredible team of innovators at our office who are committed to that every single day. The other thing you should probably have heard about is LEED and WELL. LEED is the study of how buildings impact the environment. We have 61 certified projects, 36 accredited professionals in our office, and we're also now embarking on WELL, which is the study of how buildings affect the users of the space, so not just the environment. We have 10 accredited professionals in that regard, and we are also piloting our first project for certification on that. And then the last thing I'll just say is that our community is really, really important to us. We are all the time engaging in pro bono work, but we're also engaging in fundraisers. Our staff is some of the most connected and engaged in this community that I can imagine, and I am so proud of the work that they do. We just had an LLS fundraiser entitled the Slug Run. You should come next year. There are donuts. There is a, I think, 0.01 mile race, a grueling race, all in the spirit of raising money for our community. So, thank you.
Good afternoon. First off, thank you, Sarah, for the invite, and it's great to be up here with Jackie and Emily and representing great New Mexico businesses. So I also didn't know all three of us are native New Mexicans too, so pretty cool for today. So more than just pizza and ranch dressing, I want to talk to you a little bit today about Dion's and how we get involved in the community and how we think about being a responsible business. So background-wise, Dion's was founded in 1978 by two friends from Michigan, John Patton and Bill Scott. These two guys had very little money, lots of ambition, but no idea what they wanted to do. And they lived in near Detroit. They had this crazy idea that they would have better weather in Albuquerque, so they moved to Albuquerque with the dreams of opening a Greek restaurant. So they bought a little hole-in-the-wall pizzeria, planned to turn it into a Greek place, and people kept coming in and saying, "Where's the pizza?" So first business lesson they learned was give the customers what they want. They learned how to make pizza. The rest is history. So today we have 24 restaurants, mostly in New Mexico, but we do have stores in West Texas and also in Colorado. We have 1,600 employees, full and part-time. And hopefully growing the next few years, about 1 or 2 stores per year, slow, steady growth with the idea of staying company-owned, staying true to our roots and our culture, and not becoming part of a large corporate organization. So at Dion's, the way we look at things besides the pizza is really people-focused. So our vision is not to be the biggest in the country. Our vision is to be the most admired restaurant brand in the country. Doesn't mean we're going to have 1,000 stores someday or 2,000 stores. We want to be admired and recognized for how we do business. And we support that with 3 promises. So to our customers, to our employees, and to our communities. We recently reworded some of that and presented it to our employees, and they enjoyed it and are excited about where it's going to take us. So I want to take you through our 3 promises. The first, to our customers, we provide great food, a comfortable place to relax, and ease in a busy day. So sure, Dion's is about giving you quality food, but it really is about the part we play in families and in people's lives on a daily basis. We want to be a place that when you're having a busy day and you're like, I don't really have time to cook something right now, you don't just think about where to go. You call Dion's because you trust us. Trust the quality of the food. You trust the service you're going to get. You trust the reliability of that experience. When you have young kids and you're really busy and you're trying to figure out where you can take them that you feel comfortable and they feel safe. We have kids running around our stores all the time, and I think customers have told us many times it's because they feel like it's okay. They don't have to have their children right by their side, because if they're at Dion's and they're watching the people make pizzas, or if they need to use the bathroom, it's a very open environment and people trust that. So it's important that we fit in those customers' lives. Second promise is to our employees. We provide an inspiring place to start and build fulfilling lives and careers. So we learned many years ago that we're a stepping stone employer. The great majority of people we employ, and I think this slide has, we've employed over 21,000 New Mexicans over the years. Most people come to us and they want to get a part-time job, they want to buy a car, they trying to go to school, they have things they need to just make a little money for. And they might work for us for 6 months or a year, but generally they're headed off to college or want to get a next job, those kinds of things. And so our role really is to prepare them for that. So we want to teach them how to work, how to show up on time, how to work as a team, how to work in a busy environment where you got to communicate with your coworkers, communicate with your customers. I don't know what that means. It's a good sign. So we take that very seriously. So we work a lot on our training programs, trying to instill values in young employees. We hire lots of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And the truth is they do great work. They work hard for us. They take care of our customers. And they build friendships that last a lifetime. The other thing I'd say about how we work with employees is that many of them do stay with us. So myself, I started at Dion's when I was 17, never with the idea that I would still be here all these years later. But what I realized over time is that it was a place that gave me opportunities, and it was a place where especially John and Bill as the founders believed in me, and that's what's meant so much to me, and that's what I'm trying to give back to our people every day. Our 24 store managers all started as employees in our stores. There's not a single one that came to me and said, hey, I've got my degree, so you should make me a store manager. They've all worked their way up through the organization. I think that's a special thing for us. And third promise is to our communities. So to our communities, we're a trusted partner to foster youth development. So we work with lots of organizations, many school districts, and we've had a long partnership with the APS Foundation, APS Athletics, all kinds of different nonprofits, NDI. I was just at an event for New Day last night. They're a shelter for homeless youth, and they work on a bunch of different programs to take these kids who have just really difficult backgrounds, and they're trying to get them prepared to live a better life. And the cool partnership we've had with them is not just providing them money and pizza, but being able to hire some of their teens as they're working their way out of the shelter. And those are the kinds of things we want to do in our communities to give back. So much more than just pizza and ranch dressing, although we like those too. And hopefully, can answer a little bit more as we go through today. So thank you.
Okay, with that, we want to hear from you. What questions might you have for our panelists here in the brief remarks that they had about what a responsible business looks like here in this area and in New Mexico in general? And if you have questions, please just kind of wave to the persons here with those orange boxes. Those are our microphones to field your questions.
This question is, I have two actually, more specifically for Jackie. Jackie, it's a little bit of a political question, so I'm sorry in advance. However, do you guys source any green chili from Colorado, or is it just New Mexico? And then the actual real question is, in this, have you guys as a family-owned company made a lot of these changes in the last 5 to 10 years for social engagement, being better community members? Has this been a lot of changes recently, or is this a generational change, or has this kind of been how you guys have operated since day one?
I think we've always operated as that since day one. You know, it depends, it ebb and flows depending on the energy of the people involved, but I think we've always been involved. I remember my dad doing fundraisers. We went to Catholic school, elementary school, and I remember him doing fundraisers and helping with those fundraisers by selling products and donating it back to the church. So it's always been, it's just been part of our DNA.
Other questions right here?
I may have missed this because I walked in, I may have missed this because I walked in a little bit late. I was wondering if each of the panelists could talk about when they started learning about B Corps, if that was something that came to your attention and you were like, we should really look into that. If you looked at the rigorous application process and decided, we do a lot of that already, but this is, just wondering your thoughts about that for your own companies.
I can start with that. I've been wandering in and out of the B Corp certification process for a couple of years now, and there's something that keeps bringing me back. We haven't formalized. We've gone through the initial assessment, and we've started to look at improvements that would need to be made and data we would need to gather. I think in the course of doing business, we all get distracted, right? But there's something really interesting that keeps bringing me back. And every time I do something like this, where there's a touch point around B Corp, I go back to the office and I say, this needs to happen. And I think that is telling in and of itself.
For me, I think I first heard about it because my daughter was applying for an internship at Patagonia and somehow learned about B Corp through that process. We really haven't applied much Dion's wise, but this feels familiar to me from, we did work with the Baldrige criteria in the early 2000s, and the B Corp piece feels to me like the modern version of, hey, how do we be a responsible business today? So by getting involved today too, we're going to start some conversations that I think will take us further.
For me, I learned about it when I was asked to be on this panel, so I don't know what rock I've been under, but Sarah didn't laugh at me when I asked her, what is a B Corp certification? So that's my experience with it.
Yeah, but I can say that when we were kind of sharing comments just in the last, 24 hours or so, Jackie sent me a lovely note that says, man, I'm now interested in pursuing the B Corp certification. So she's, very much enthralled. So, anyway, yeah. So, other questions? Natalia.
So, hello. I have a question. Along with Sarah and Wellington and other professional faculty here at Anderson, we teach our core business ethics, business and society course to our undergrad students. And I'm always curious, is there a specific skill set that you're looking for when you hire new employees? And what would that be?
A skill set for new employees that are just graduating from school, from college, coming in, or new to the company? I think I've always said that people who have who have values that are aligned with ours and are good people and work hard usually do quite well in the company. But I think there is a real alignment with values. So one of the things that I always, if I'm involved in an interview and with interns, new interns or what have you, I always tell people, here's what I stand for. I stand for doing the right thing. What do you stand for? And it's really interesting to get their response. And I always, especially if they're young interns and young people coming into the company, I always tell them it's really important to have that alignment. So that's how I address that.
Other questions? Oh, you can address that, please.
Sure. Yeah, for us, I would agree with Jackie. It's a lot about a values alignment. And then I would add one thing to that, which is really resourcefulness. If I could pick one quality in any new employee, because we're going to teach people a lot of things, but we can't teach them everything. So the critical variable in someone's success really is their ability to, when they don't know what to do something. Ask somebody, just figure it out. Just kind of keep things moving, and it's not always a common skill, but that would be the one thing I would recommend to people is figure out ways to be resourceful.
I usually have an expletive version of this, but I would say give a darn. The bottom line is that people who really care about what they're doing, who are curious, who are interested and engaged, they're resourceful and they work really hard. And for us, the other piece of that is entrepreneurial spirit. We do a lot of engagement outside of the work of architecture. Bringing a new perspective, bringing a different point of view is really powerful for us.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay. Other questions? This one over here.
Anybody?
So, question about the social responsibility and tough economic times. So there's obviously threats of maybe a recession around the corner. How does your social responsibility change during, you've been around 68 years, 60 years. How has it changed, I guess, when there's economic dips? How do you keep it, either the focus, do you lessen it, increase it? What's kind of your, the way you approach that?
I will say that when we went through the last really large recession for us and for our industry, our first priority was our people. And so principals took pay cuts, for instance, before anybody else. We know that investment in our staff and in our community will help get through those things. And so things get cut. The frills get cut as you need them to, but the commitment in people in the community does not.
Did you have someone say? No, I'm not. No, I don't want to cut anybody off that wants to respond to that question. Yeah.
Is this working? Yes.
Here we are.
We're in the food business, so when there's a recession, we usually do really well because we have two segments of business, both restaurants and supermarket sales, and so people will, maybe restaurant sales might decrease, but people will cook on their own, so supermarket sales increase. So that's a fortunate place to be.
Interesting. Another question here?
I was wondering how each of your companies sort of prioritizes your philanthropic giving. So for example, Mark, I know that I see Dion's, I'm always like so proud of you guys because I see Dion's often being sponsors for all kinds of things. And I see the Decker name as well. I'll probably pay more attention now to the Bueno name. But I was wondering if you kind of budget, this much we will give to local communities and nonprofits stuff every year. We do that based on an application process that's on our website. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, for us, you hit on a few of the things. So we do start with a budget for the year of how much total dollars. We think of it as dollars, food, and time. So we budget those out. The time depends on just what people want us to get involved in and what our employees are interested in. And then we do have a annual grant process. And I don't know the timing of that. I know it just finished. We just announced people that are going to be awarded grants for this coming fiscal year that started this week. But we try to balance that. And for us, it's all around youth development. We used to give to tons of different causes, but there's so much need in our state. What we wanted to do is align our giving with the people we serve most so that the things we do try to support a lot of those people that are going to become our employees or a lot of those kids that those are the families that come in to eat at our restaurants. So we really focus on youth development.
We have a team at the office that evaluates requests as they come in. We absolutely, I mentioned before how proud we are of our employees and their engagement with our community. So we prioritize those that are connected to employees and employees' requests for those industries. But in general, we take it one by one and we look at each request and we give as much as we possibly can and we work to partner with people in the community.
I think for us, we do start with the budget, but a lot of our giving is under. It's not well publicized. It's to the homeless, to the food banks, that kind of thing. That's where a lot of that goes. And then we look at sponsorships based on if they're tied to the heritage of our state. That's where we give a lot of our sponsorships.
One question that I would have, and it was really kind of inspired by something that Mark had said when we as a kind of panel group were talking about remarks for today, and that is how important it is to talk about how businesses balance the needs of differing stakeholders, since sometimes the needs of one may be in somewhat tension with others. And I wondered if any of you might like to address that. How do you balance those sometimes competing stakeholder interests when they are in tension?
It's probably the toughest work we do. One example is in preserving the green chili crop in New Mexico. We've had a decline in that for since the 90s because of NAFTA. And so what we've really tried to do is be involved in the New Mexico Chili Certified Program and really support farmers in New Mexico. Whether customers are, let me say another thing is food safety is very important. So we spend a lot of time with, and we just received an excellent on our SQF audit, which is an international marker for food safety. So we spend a lot of time on that and money, and also the certification process, trying to support the chili industry in our state. But sometimes customers are not willing to pay the premium. Sometimes our sales force they can't sell what is important about being certified. So there's always that tension. And so our job is to make customers want to support the New Mexico chili industry, just like Dion's does. And we go through a certification program both for New Mexico certified and Hatch certified. The chili you see from Hatch is specifically from Hatch, because you see chili from Hatch everywhere, which isn't necessarily Hatch chili. So, but you know, the bottom line is it costs money. It can reduce profit if customers aren't willing to pay a higher price.
Yeah, I think in thinking about the what I call the competing intentions around how you serve different stakeholders, I think about the different reasons we're in business. So, you know, as a business, we each serve different clientele, and there's a culture that goes with that. So, for instance, a Whole Foods customer and a Kroger customer, they're serving two different targets, and those customer groups have slightly different needs and wants. And so I think with the difficult part in being a business, and especially one that serves a broad section of the public, is customers have very different views of what's important to them. So we recently made a change at our stores to serving on reusable bowls and plates inside the store to cut down on some of the plastic and paper waste that we have. Now, thanks. So it costs more, and to some customers, they say, hey, just raise the price. I'm happy to pay for that. Other customers aren't so happy to pay for that. And so it's that constant battle of trying to figure out what's the right move and stick with kind of the larger group of customer, figure out where things are going. You know, I know in terms of food safety, there's always new stuff coming out, like Jackie mentioned, and they've been a fantastic partner for us, actually. Helped us improve a lot in our manufacturing facilities to do our dressings in our bakery and things. So it's just trying to balance the needs of the customer, the needs of the community, and there's never really an answer. It's just a continuous piece.
Okay, very nice.
And I would say it goes back to something that I said in the opening remarks, which is that we really believe that a strong business foundation enables us to be good to our other stakeholders and enables us to do good work. So we could design beautiful buildings, and we could fail as a company. We'd have to lay a lot of people off. We'd have to never give back to the community, and we'd have to make a lot of really hard decisions. By being a strong business, by being founded in that, the roots in that, it means that we have strength and we have the ability to withstand things that enable us to give back.
Okay, excellent. Great. Okay, I have a couple more questions, but I want to make sure those of you out here asking your questions, any more for the panel? Actually, this question was one that was interjected. Oh, back here? Good. Let's yeah. Carrie? Is that, oh, okay, no, okay,
Um,
there we go.
I have a question about, the size of your companies and the fact that I'm wondering like how you involve your entire company, especially those of you that are spread out all over the country. I mean, is it, really kind of administrative? Is it just through newsletters or through an intranet or communication, or do you have retreats, or do you come together periodically? I'm always curious as to how the sort of the top down involves I hate to say lower tiers, but just the people that work for them, that make sure that they are aware of the fact that you guys are doing such great things at the public level.
So for us, we only have 2 employees in Colorado, other than everybody is here in New Mexico. So a lot of that communication evolves around the employee of the quarter, where we try to reiterate the values. We pick an employee who has demonstrated those values in the work that they've done, and we try to reemphasize that. Various members of the family will speak, but also sometimes it's just a fun time. For instance, we're launching a whole new line of salsa, so we had a salsa tasting and incorporated everybody into that meeting. So, but it is that quarterly employee of the quarter meeting where we do a lot of that communication.
We do a lot of different things on different platforms, and we have a long ways to go connecting with other offices specifically, but we are implementing a brand new intranet. So that's really exciting for us. We have an every other month all-hands staff meeting, which is where we provide a digital platform for our other offices, and everyone is in person here in Albuquerque. We actually just last week brought everyone from every office to Albuquerque to celebrate not only our 60 years, but the next 60 years and what we look like moving forward, which was incredible. We hadn't done that, and it's worth doing. It's worth bringing people in person to be there to experience that together. So that was huge for us. But we also just work really hard to try to connect in different ways, mostly on a personal level. We have an amazing group of people who plan events in all the different offices, the slug run like I mentioned, but also things like the night at the United Field that we're going to go do this weekend, engaging in salsa contests and cook-offs and all of those good things. And we try to do that in each office. So.
Well, for us, you've hit on a really unique challenge. It is difficult to being spread out, 1,600 people, and many of them young people who might work 3 days a week, and they go in, do their work, and leave. So it's been a constant battle to try and figure out how we communicate well with them. And I think we do pretty well getting them information either through meetings, or we have through our HR system, we can send them information, and we can even send them texts. So we do some of that. And what we just started to do recently that we're going to be rolling out over this next year is it's called Player Link. It's a training system, but it's all video based. So what we're finding is that videos reach our employees better than other media. So we're trying to work more on how we can do that, because it's one thing for them to hear that we're doing something, hey, we're making this change, but the thing we really want them to hear is why, so that when you come in as a customer, if you ask a question, they don't just go, I don't know, because they said so. So it's something we're working on. We haven't figured out a solution, but we're always trying to find ways to help our employees understand the reasons why we do things. And then we've had a lot of success with employee feedback surveys. So we do an annual survey of all of our employees, and we get great information, and we do our best to follow through on key items that come through, because if we don't, then they're going to stop filling them out. So, but they tend to respond to us really well. So.
Okay, there's a question over here. It may be our last one, because I know we're getting between you and lunch, so thank you.
So just noticing the theme, you guys are all pretty grassroots, and one of the problems with larger corporations, they lose touch, they get unhealthy, they get abusive of their employees. So I just wonder, what's your advice to them? How could they roll in more grassroots?
I think just staying connected to the reason why you're there. We talk a lot about the why and connecting with the why. When you have face-to-face conversations with your employees, it's a whole lot easier to work really hard for your employees. And so really connecting with the people that you work with, for, and engage with every day is important.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's getting out to see them. Nothing happens at Dion's unless our employees are at work every day getting stuff done. So our whole leadership team tries to get out and see people and remind them of that and thank them for that. And I think that personal touch is, even if it's not that often, because as you get bigger, it's less frequent. They appreciate it so much when somebody from the leadership team comes in and spends time at their store, and we get a lot of good feedback on that. So I think it's keep it personal as much as possible and go see people and make that a priority.
I have to agree with that. Just being around and hearing the stories. I mean, as my brother says, that we have 330 employees and they each have their own story. It just, last week, the police came by because one of our employees had died in a car accident, and the only thing they could find was his badge, and he had just been in his supervisor's office on Friday talking about how he really wanted to move up in the company. Those stories, just hearing those, it's just so human, and I think staying connected to people's lives and what they're all about. That's what keeps you grounded.
Amen. Very good. I guess we have time maybe for one more question. And I would ask, since our event is about believing in New Mexico, can any of you speak to any unique challenges or opportunities of having your business roots right here in New Mexico? Unique opportunities and challenges being rooted here in New Mexico.
I can only think of opportunities. First off, there are challenges, but I think that we are about New Mexican cuisine. It is our culinary heritage. So, what other business it would be a totally different business if we hadn't been born and that's what we knew. There are definitely challenges in the state of New Mexico in sometimes doing business. I'm trying to figure that out because someone asked me, why do people say it's difficult to do business in New Mexico? So I've been going around asking people, why is it difficult to do business in New Mexico? So when I have that answer, I'll come back.
Because you don't feel it. Right, that's good.
I will second that. I don't spend a lot of time focusing on the challenges of New Mexico, but more on the opportunities. I think we live in a fantastic state. We have great people. I look at all the young people that work for us and how hard they work and how well they do and what they go on to do with their lives, becoming fighter pilots and doctors and lawyers and policemen and firemen and all kinds of great things. Professors, yes.
We've had one in the audience.
And so I think New Mexico actually has unique opportunities. I think we're very much a warm, welcoming culture, and people do support each other here in ways that I don't think happen in other cities. So I think we need to focus on our strengths in New Mexico and be proud of the businesses we build.
I think the mayor said it really well a little bit earlier, and that's that as we look at the foundation in New Mexico, we look at what we do naturally. It's really, really impressive. Our focus on our community, our focus on our people, our focus on bringing each other up is great, and it's something that we have that other people don't have. And I think our challenge is telling the story right. Those who have been here, those who have experienced it, find themselves in the land of entrapment, and we come back, and I'm testament to that. But those who don't know about it, who haven't really rooted in it, who haven't taken the time to experience it, see a very different picture, and we need to figure out how to tell that story better.
Very good. Anything else? Panelists? Audience members? Well, again, thank you for your attention. Thank you to these wonderful panel members and for what you contribute to New Mexico. Homegrown, great businesses, responsible businesses. Thank you very much.